Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Noise Brigade podcast. It's me, Bobby. Tom is not here. He is off tending to family business up in New Jersey. So I've got a special guest with me. It is Payton. Say hi, Payton.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk about a video game in particular that Peyton likes to play and I've been really into lately. And if you've listened to any of the other pods, you've heard me talk about uh, the up down down tournament that they had, their March Madness tournament where they played Pokemon Stadium, and that is the game we're going to talk about today. So,
Yes,
Peyton,
indeed.
what is it that what is it that you really like about Pokemon Stadium?
Well, I don't know if it's online, but if it was online, that would be cool too. But the overall thing that I like is that you can battle with your friends and that you can, it's like an actual competitional game. Like, you can actually have a competition with each other. It's not like a story game where, oh, the first one to get to this wins, blah 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 blah. Like it's an actual you can compete in a competition. So that's one of the things I like, but there's many more, but that's one of the biggest things that I like about it.
So, for those of you who don't know, Pokemon Stadium came out on the N64. So, no, there was definitely no online. And if
Okay.
there was, it would have been through super slow dial up internet and sounds like robots are screaming at each other. But Pokemon Stadium came out for the N64. It came out around this, a couple years after, obviously, the red, blue, and yellow games. It featured a lot of different functionality. And one of the cool things about it is you can use the N64 transfer pack, which allows you to put Game Boy games into this little pack that goes into the bottom of the N64 controller, and you can transfer data in between the game cartridge and the system. It allows you to use your own Pokemon that you've raised in those games in Pokemon Stadium, and it also has an emulator built into the cartridge that allows you to play Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow on your N64 on your TV. So it was like a super limited Super Game Boy, for those of you familiar with the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo. Now, one of the other things is um, a campaign mode to it, so to speak, where you go through and you have to fight other trainers and challenges and stuff. But the meat of it, what we've been doing the most of, and what they did in the up down down tournament is they had one on one battles, and you get to pick from the the 150 Pokemon. They didn't have Mew in this game. I'm unsure of whether or not you can use him if you have him on a cartridge. I'll have to check that out. But you could pick from any of the original 150 Pokemon, and they were all leveled, I believe, 55. So even Charmander versus a Charmeleon or a Charizard, they were all going to be the same level. So obviously one's going to be weaker than the other, but they're still somewhat on the same level and allowed the starter Pokemon and the pre-evolutions to kind of compete with their bigger, more fierce brethren. So um, let's start like this, Bug. What kind of Pokemon, if you had to pick one that was like, if you like fire or electric or water or ghost, which one is your favorite type to use?
Um, that's a hard one. It might be psychic or dart, possibly even ghost. Um, but the reason why I like psychic is because you can put people to sleep. That's really because that's the one of the biggest advantages that you can get from a psychic. But with the types, one that I sometimes use a lot is Raichu because he, from what I remember, he can paralyze and he is extremely quick. So that is one electric type that I use. Um, but what about you? What is your favorite type?
I like fire. I'm a fire Pokemon trainer. I think I like Charizard, Charmeleon, and Charmander. Um, and I like Ponyta, I like Rapidash and Growlithe and Arcanine. Um, but I'm also a big fan of Gengar. So shout out to the Gengar gang. And he's somebody that I have on every single one of my teams pretty much when I play through that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your favorite Pokemon to use?
That's a hard one too. There is one that I like to use. I use Nidoking. Nidoking. I'm pretty sure that's the one. But I like him because he has a decent amount of health, and he has some pretty strong ones. But when I first started off, one of the moves, I'm pretty sure it was his move or Rhydon's move, that kind of messed me up quite a bit. It just kept repeating and repeating. So that one wasn't really the best. But other than that, I do like Nidoking. He is one that I do recommend. I also like Clefairy because she is a absolute tank. She has probably the most health out of every single one in the game.
I think you're thinking of Chansey.
Chansey, yes, Chansey. But she is a tank. She has the most health out of every single one that I can think of.
So what is your strategy when you go into a match? Do you try it when you're picking your Pokemon? Do you like to try and mix it up, or do you like to try and have a bunch of the same type? Or what do you go for?
Usually I like to mix it up, like one or two. I would like to have like tanks, and then maybe one I would like to have like a super fast one, and then one I would like to have, and then maybe two, maybe one like ones that can paralyze or possibly even put to sleep, maybe even freeze. I don't know, but usually I like to have one or two of them, and then one that can pack a punch. I like to have people that are strong, that are useful in battle to put people to sleep, freeze them, or paralyze, and people that can survive longer for the last battle that you need to win in order to win the whole competition. But what about you? What's your strategy?
So you got to have a good mix. You're right on that. You hit the nail on the head. I pretty much, like I said, every team I make has a Gengar on it. Um, you've got to have some guys avoid the that can avoid dig and that can avoid some attacks. Um, Pokemon that know fly are super helpful because they can go up in the air and
Mm-hmm.
then you can dodge an attack that way and then come down with a super strong attack. Pokemon that know dig are super good because they can go under the ground.
That is true.
And as we learned through the stream, that surf, even though it would fill up the hole that they've dug in, it does not hurt Pokemon that have used dig. Um, so you've got to have a healthy mix. I always use a Gengar in there. Um, got to have a good, like you said, a good tank. That's good, and then a good mix of the elements so that you can counter people who are coming out.
But also, can't forget Sleepy.
Yeah, sleep.
Hypno.
Okay, yeah, you're
You do
right.
usually use Hypno and Gengar. Those are your duo people. You
Yeah,
usually do use
yeah,
those.
that's true. I've kind of tried to steer away from Hypno though because he creeps me out. I mean, not as much as Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is just a creepy little freak, but I sorry Amanda if you're listening. I know you really dig Mr. Mime, which is super duper weird, but whatever. Um, so
Yeah, I like Mr. Mime.
you
One of the
do?
reasons, yes, I do.
Why don't you use Mr. Mime then? Because he's creepy.
No, because I'm pretty sure his attacks not good. I think he might have sleep, but I think that's all. And he might have Dream Eater. I don't know,
No, he
but
doesn't have Dream Eater. That's
but
only
the
a
reason
Hypno.
why I like him is because I like the fact that he's creative, he uses imagination a lot, he's playful, he's joyful, and he's just over the top with joy. That's really why I like him, because he's just really like playful, enthusiastic, and like he's just I just like him because he's just a happy creature, I guess.
All right, so if you had to pick your top 5 from the original 151, we'll throw Mew in there as well. If you had to pick your top 5 favorites, not necessarily to use in the game, but just overall ones you like, who would they be?
Would it have to be like moves, or should it be
No,
aesthetically
no, just the Pokemon themselves. It doesn't have to have anything to do with their
design?
moves. It's just the design and the Pokemon itself.
That should make it a lot easier. I don't know if Bite is
Nope.
Gibble. No?
No, that's
Alright.
not the
What about
151.
Regirock?
Nope.
Well, there goes two. Probably Nidoking. Nidoking's probably one big one that I like to use.
I'm gonna pull up the Pokedex for you.
Alright. So I like Nidoking. Yes, I do like Nidoking. And Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl is another good one that I like. That I forgot to mention. I like Poliwhirl. So
Poliwhirl or
Nidoking.
Poliwrath? That's Poliwrath.
Yeah, Poliwrath.
Okay.
Then as I'm looking on Pokédex, I found Mr. Gengar Gang. And I found your guy right here.
All right, so that's 3.
No, I'm just pulling up doors.
Okay. Yeah, but I just want I want to know what your top 5 are. So Nidoking.
So Nidoking, Poliwrath, Kabutops, maybe Tauros, but we're not going to put him on the list yet. Let's see here. Where is that? Chansey? Or yeah, it was Chansey. Here's Chansey. Also like or is it Blissey?
Chansey is in the 151. Blissey's not.
Okay. So yeah, Blissey. I like Blissey. I think that's up to 4.
So
3.
3.
3. All right.
You're up. No, you're 4. You're 4.
All right. So yeah. This one's gonna be hard because I don't wanna.
Do you want to throw Mr. Mime on there?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So
Why
your
not?
top 5 are Nidoking, Mr. Mime, Chansey, Kabutops, and Poliwrath.
Did you get Nidoking?
Yep.
All right.
That's what I said. So let's see mine. So I gotta go with Charmander.
Obviously, got to throw in Gengar Gang.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and I'm gonna go with the earliest evolution of each one I pick. So we're gonna go Charmander. We're gonna go Gengar. I mean, I like the Ghastly and Haunter and Gengar, but we are gonna go Gengar with that one. Then we're gonna go with Growlithe. We're gonna go Sandshrew because I love Sandshrew.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna go with I'm so torn because this is where I would normally go with like Dratini or Mew or Kabuto or somebody like that. But I'm actually gonna go off the normal beaten path and go with Tangela because I love the little creepy grass monster hiding out. He's really cool. So, all right, Peyton. Well,
I actually might switch out one of my Pokemon because I
Okay.
just saw out of the corner of my eye Nalagaton, Ditto.
Okay.
So
That's a good pick.
I think I'm going to swap out probably one that you might not. I gotta remember my team because I might trade out a different one. I think I'm gonna trade out the Polyrath for Ditto.
All right.
Because again, when you do like use Ditto's transforming power, you can take their power and health. So don't really need that because you can already do that. You can technically be him if the other person has him. So I think, in my opinion, that's a good one.
Okay. Right,
but that is probably my 5 select people or Pokemon that I would use.
Very good. All right, Mr. Payton. Well, thank you very much for being a special guest on our podcast today. Did you have any questions for me before we sign off?
I think I had a few. What is your favorite first, middle, and final evolution?
All right. So first, we'll go with Charmander because that was my very first Pokemon ever.
But there's an addition.
Okay.
The first 6. So a full Pokemon Stadium team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm doing a Pokemon Stadium team, if I'm going to do what my favorite one is, it's going to be Gengar. It's going to be.
So you're starting from the final evolutions first.
So I'm not quite sure I understand the question then.
So when you pick the Pokemon, whichever stage of evolution you pick, you start with. Like if I were to do Charmeleon, then I could only do the middle evolution of each Pokemon. So you would pick the one, your middle, first, second, or third.
Okay, so whatever my first Pokemon I pick is, it's got to be that version of all of them going forward for the rest of the team.
So
is that right?
Pretty much. So whichever one you pick first, whatever stage of evolution they are at,
that's what everybody on the team has to be.
Yes.
Okay. So then it would be Charmander. I would pick the 3 starters. I would pick Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. I'd throw in a Sandshrew. I'd throw in a Vulpix. And I'd throw in a Ghastly. How about you?
Well, one that I was thinking that you were going to pick was a Diglett. But from now what I remember, I don't actually think he has Dig.
No, he does not have Dig. Diglett does not have Dig in Pokemon Stadium.
Well then, I would probably use I'm gonna do a different one. I think I'll do the middle evolution first. So I'll go with Aerodactyl. So yeah, I will pick Aerodactyl. I will pick Machamp or Machoke. So Aerodactyl, Machoke.
Well, Aerodactyl's a cheat. He only has one form. That's cheating picking him.
So, would we change the rules of the challenge?
No, you got to go. You said the middle evolutions. So you have to pick ones that have middle evolutions, 3-stage evolution.
All right. So we'll do whenever we do final evolutions, we get to pick the one evolutions. So I'll pick Machoke. I will pick I might pick Cubone.
He's a first evolution.
There's only 2 evolutions.
Doesn't matter. You said middle evolutions. So you got to go with middle.
Now I'm confused because there's 2 evolutions.
There's no middle.
So we would do the first or the second one.
No, so you wouldn't be able to do it because you're looking for middle evolutions.
All right.
Only ones with 3.
All right.
Hey, you made the rules, not me.
I know. I will go with Machoke. The 3 starters: Charmeleon, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. Oh wait, no.
Charmeleon, Venusaur, and Wartortle?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'm up to 5. No, 4. Mm-hmm. Now I'll go with Nidorino. And I think I'll try to throw in one more. I guess I'll go with Poliwhirl.
Okay.
So I think that's what I'm going to use. Actually, wait. Not Poliwhirl. Haunter.
Okay. That's a good, solid team.
So there's still... Do you want to do your middle evolution?
No, that's all the time we're going to have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peyton, thank you for being here. And make sure you listen to our next pod when that comes up. Listen to the ones you haven't listened to before. And if you have any questions for Peyton about gaming or anything else, hit us up on Twitter at the Noise Brigade Pod. I've been Bobby. He's been Peyton. Thank you for listening.